We're looking for someone who might be working here. Thelma Timepiece.
Oh, yes, Thelma. Sorry, Batman, you can't win them all. She quit last week. I think she went back to her hometown in the Midwest. But I'd be glad to take your order.
I am a little hungry.
Of course, Robin. Even crime fighters must eat.
Back then, superheroes did not act sad or dark. They gave speeches to criminals and then politely waited for a commercial break. From 1966 to 1968, Batman aired on ABC, turning comic books into bright pop art chaos and crime fighting into loud, funny, over-the-top action. Starring Adam West as the most serious Batman you could imagine, Burt Ward as a non-stop, super-excited Robin, and a changing lineup of guest villains who all somehow understood exactly what kind of show this was. The show did not just break the rules of superhero television, it completely ignored them. This was a world where punches had words and sound effects, villains lived in crooked rooms, and the Batmobile cost exactly $1. Today, we are counting down 15 weird facts about Batman 1966. Stay until number 15 when we reveal how Adam West created one of the most parodied dance moves in pop culture history, about 10 minutes before they filmed it. Now, before we jump in, do not forget to like, subscribe, and hype this video. It helps YouTube show this to more retro TV fans just like you. All right, let's go straight to Gotham with number 1. The utility belt was one long-running joke. On the 1966 Batman, the utility belt had nothing to do with realism. It was all about full commitment.
The Clown Prince of Crime have found the answer to it.
What is it, Joker?
My own utility belt.
Specifically, this meant fully committing to the idea that Batman had already planned for every possible disaster, even the ones the writers clearly made up just 5 minutes before filming. Yes, the belt famously included shark-repellent bat spray because obviously Gotham's biggest danger was flying criminals and wild great white sharks, but that was only the main highlight. Hidden in the belt were fun items like bat tweezers, an all-purpose bat swatter, and even a bat alphabet soup thermos. Because nothing scares criminals more than knowing Batman packed a hot lunch just in case. But to make sure the joke really worked, the writers added the word bat to everything. A normal object was not good enough. It had to be loudly branded. Sure, some of these ideas came from the comics. Batman had used shark repellent as early as 1958, but the show pushed the idea to the extreme. Being prepared stopped being a superpower and became the joke. Batman did not just fight crime, he strongly expected it and planned for it in advance. Number 2. The Joker refused to shave and Batman allowed it. When Cesar Romero agreed to play the Joker in the 1966 Batman movie, he had one rule that could not be changed. The mustache had to stay. Romero was a classic Hollywood star who strongly protected his romantic image and his famous mustache. Shaving it was not an option. Not for a clown, not for a comic book villain, not even for Batman. So the production team did the only thing they could. They painted over it. Makeup artists covered the mustache with thick white grease paint, hoping that studio lights and blurry 1960s TVs would hide it. It kind of worked. On old TV screens, the mustache mostly blended into the glow. But on modern remastered Blu-rays, the trick completely fails. Every single hair can be seen, a faint ghost-like mustache sitting right under the Joker's smile.
Oh, how delicious.
Proudly refusing to disappear. And here's the best part. Nobody really cared. The show did not reshoot the scenes. Instead, they accepted it and went with it. The Joker, a character known for chaos and bad taste, could not even be bothered to shave properly. It matched the style of the show perfectly, and in any other series, this would have been a big production problem. But on Batman, it turned into something fun and memorable. Number 3. Batman almost had a very different face. Before Adam West ever put on the mask, the producers were seriously thinking about another actor, Lyle Waggoner. He was not just being considered, he filmed a full screen test and came very close to becoming the Caped Crusader. And honestly, Waggoner made a lot of sense. He was tall, good-looking, and had a strong, square jaw. He looked like he walked straight out of a comic book. His version of Bruce Wayne was serious, heroic, and honest. The problem was, the script was serious too, and that was supposed to be the joke. The producers finally understood that the show did not need a normal superhero. It needed a serious character who knew he was standing in the middle of colorful pop art craziness and completely refused to notice it. That is where Adam West came in. West did not just play Batman seriously, he played him in a playful, over-serious way. He spoke the most ridiculous lines with the calm confidence of a man explaining complicated tax rules.
No matter, Robin. This money goes toward building better roads. We all must do our part.
With complete belief, but no sense of irony. And suddenly, the silliness worked. The final push came from an unexpected place, a Nestle Quick commercial. Producer William Dozier saw West playing a James Bond-style spy named Captain Q and instantly understood it. West could make fun of serious roles without ever breaking character, and that was the secret ingredient. As for Wagner, losing the role of Batman did not slow him down. He became a regular star on the Carol Burnett Show for 7 years, holding his own in classic sketch comedy. And in a fun twist, he still joined the DC Universe, just not in Gotham, playing Steve Trevor on Wonder Woman. Number 4. The Batmobile was literally a $1 supercar. The Batmobile did not begin as a crime-fighting masterpiece. It started as a forgotten 1955 Lincoln Futura concept car, an experimental show car that Ford no longer wanted, could not use, and had basically given up on as stylish junk. Custom car legend George Barris bought it for exactly $1. Then the panic started. Barris originally wanted to build the Batmobile from scratch, but the studio gave him a harsh deadline, just 3 weeks. That was 21 days to create a superhero car for a network TV show that had not even aired yet. Starting from nothing was impossible, so he took one look at the Futura's huge fins and bubble-shaped roof and decided to make it strange and bold. What came out of that crazy rush became one of the most famous vehicles in TV history. Jet black paint, red trim, and bat-themed details everywhere. The Batmobile looked fast, but it really was not. Because of its heavy steel body, constant overheating, and habit of blowing tires, the car safely topped out at about 45 miles per hour. High-speed chases were mostly done with camera tricks, editing, and Adam West acting like this thing could outrun traffic. Still, none of that really mattered. The Batmobile did not need speed, it had style and power. It defined the look of the show and became just as legendary as the Batsuit itself. Number 5. The villains were literally filmed crooked. Good and evil on this show were not shown by what people said or wore. They were shown by angles. When the camera suddenly tilted like it had too many drinks, that meant one thing: villain hideout. These extra tilted shots, called Dutch angles, were not fancy filmmaking. They were visual jokes. The villains were crooked, so the show literally filmed them crooked. The idea did no heavy lifting, and the rule was strict. Wayne Manor stayed perfectly level. The Gotham City Police Department stood straight as an arrow. But the moment you saw a lair with giant props, color-coded henchmen, and a criminal boss in a themed outfit, the camera leaned so much it almost needed a seatbelt. The angles were not random. Some villains even had their own special tilt, changing the frame to match their style of madness. Same city, same show, just different levels of crooked. It also worked as a smart reference to comic books. Those tilted frames copied the angled, dramatic panels of pop art comics, making every villain scene feel like a living comic page. Stylish and silly, exactly the kind of style the show was known for. Number 6. Robin was basically the show's human crash test dummy. Burt Ward also worked as his own stunt coordinator. Falls, fights, chases. If something involved getting thrown, burned, or smashed into the set, there was a good chance it was actually Burt Ward doing it. Adam West had veteran stuntman Hubie Kearns, but Ward got to do his own stunts again and again. The results were intense. Ward had a small problem. Well, the studio had a problem. The stuntman hired for Robin could not even pass as his double by 1960s TV standards. Ward later said that during his first week on the show, he spent 4 out of 5 days in the emergency room. In the very first episode, the Batmobile made a sharp turn, the door flew open, and Ward was launched straight onto the pavement like an unpaid test subject. Those flashy atomic turbine sequences with sparks and explosions were all real, and they often burned Ward's cape and skin. In one stunt, he was supposed to crash through a breakaway sign, but the sign didn't break. Ward did. The impact left him with chipped teeth and bruised ribs. Through it all, production just kept filming. Ward later joked that the studio's long-term plan seemed to be seeing if they could finish him off before the season ended, which makes every wide-eyed grin and every excited holy whatever feel a little different in hindsight. The boy wonder truly earned those battle scars. Number 7. The Riddler almost disappeared over a paycheck. Frank Gorshin played the Riddler on the 1966 Batman.
Hold it, Riddler.
He was twitchy, crazy, and laughed like a man who drank 6 espressos and then discovered crime. He quickly became one of the show's most popular villains and a big reason why people kept watching. After season 1, Gorshin's agents did what agents do. They asked for more money. Reportedly, they wanted a raise from $3,500 to $5,000 per episode. The producer said no. And just like that, one of Batman's most loved villains was at risk of disappearing. Rather than give in, the show tried something bold. They took a script written for the Riddler and quickly changed it into a new villain called the Puzzler, played by Maurice Evans. Same riddles, same energy, same idea, just a different name. Viewers were not fooled. Ratings dropped and fans complained. The change landed like a bat gadget nobody wanted. John Astin also appeared as the Riddler in a 2-part story while Gorshin was gone.
And then we'll talk about the money you took from the poor and needy.
No, we don't, boy wonder. Because you and your deputized friend are going to watch me walk out of here.
Eventually, reality won. Gorshin and the studio made a deal, and he came back in season 3 for a final episode called Ring Around the Riddler. It was a victory lap, a peace offering, and a quiet way of saying that lightning does not strike twice, especially when it's laughing wildly in a green suit. Batman learned an important lesson here. You can change a villain's name, you can rewrite the script, but you cannot replace crazy genius with budget math. Number 8. Batman almost never made it to TV. Before it even aired, Batman tested so badly that ABC executives quietly panicked. Test audiences were given dials to rate what they were watching in real time. First came the control footage, a Mr. Magoo cartoon. The dials went up, and everyone was happy. Then Batman started, and the dials dropped sharply. Viewers were confused. They didn't understand the tone. The pilot scored in the upper 40s. For context, shows that survived usually scored in the mid-60s. These were some of the lowest audience test scores in ABC history. Executives reportedly thought they had a very expensive failure on their hands. Normally, that's when a show quietly disappears. But Batman had a problem. It was too expensive to cancel. ABC had already spent a lot of money on sets, costumes, marketing, and promotion. Canceling it completely would mean losing everything. So, instead of pulling the plug, the network did the only thing left. They aired it and hoped for the best. Then, January 12, 1966 arrived, and everything changed. Once audiences saw Batman with proper promotion and understood it was intentionally silly, the show exploded. More than half of American households tuned in, a 51% share. Practically the entire country watched POWs and Zap Bubbles at the same time. Batman didn't survive because executives believed in it. It survived because it was too weird, too expensive, and too far along to stop. And sometimes that is exactly how television history is made. Okay, we're going to take a quick bat break because if you're enjoying this countdown, hit that like button and subscribe. There's no shame. We're all in this weird algorithm together. And let us know in the comments who was your favorite Batman villain from this series only.
All right, let's get back to the madness with number 9. Batgirl was added to fix Batman. By 1967, Batman was starting to lose his heat, and ABC was getting worried. Batman was still loud, colorful, and silly, but the cultural moment that it once captured America midweek was fading. The network made it clear, change something or cancel everything. So the producers used the classic TV solution, add Batgirl. Enter Yvonne Craig, brought in during season 3 as Barbara Gordon's crime-fighting alter ego.
Batman and Robin take in a new partner. Introducing Yvonne Craig as Batgirl.
The move was meant to attract young female viewers and respond to criticism that the show felt like a boys' club with gadgets. She was smart, capable, independent, and clearly shown as a positive female role model. To sell the idea, the producers even filmed a special 8-minute presentation just for ABC executives, proving Batgirl could work alongside Batman and Robin. The pitch succeeded, and the show was renewed for one final season. But TV irony hit immediately. While the goal was to bring in girls, Batgirl's sleek purple costume, motorcycle entrances, and Craig's athletic skill, she was a trained ballerina after all, had a completely different effect. Male viewers increased. The dads stayed glued to the screen, and the network quietly stopped asking too many questions. Batgirl didn't save Batman forever, but she did prove one thing. TV fixes sometimes work, just never for the reasons anyone planned.
Number 10. Those POWs and zaps were carefully planned chaos. Those colorful fight words flashing across the screen were carefully chosen, counted, and rotated like a designer wardrobe for fists. The show used more than 80 unique on-screen graphics. POW and ZAP were the reliable workhorses, but the writers and editors added strange one-time words just to keep it weird. Zwap, kersploosh, thwack. The words had a very practical purpose. ABC worried the fight scenes were too violent for kids, so instead of cutting the action, the show covered it with comic book sound effects. Suddenly, punches weren't punches anymore, they were pop art. The violence was turned into educational typography. The colors were not random either. Bright reds, yellows, and blues copied the pop art style of the mid-60s, inspired by artists like Roy Lichtenstein and Andy Warhol. Every fight became a moving comic panel, loud enough to distract you from the fact that Batman and Robin were clearly hitting nothing. Those graphics were added in post-production. Adam West and Burt Ward had to swing at empty air, timing their punches and reactions perfectly, trusting the editors to add the right bam in the right place later. Number 11. Every guest villain got paid exactly the same. On the 1966 Batman, being famous did not mean a bigger paycheck. If you were cast as a special guest villain, your rate was fixed.
With Batman and Robin on vacation.
The deal was simple. Guest villains were paid $1,250 per half-hour episode. Since Batman almost always ran its villains across a Wednesday to Thursday cliffhanger, that meant a tidy $2,500 total for a full two-part story. Same money, same contract, no negotiations. And here's the wild part. That flat rate applied whether you were a regular character actor or an absolute legend. Vincent Price, Liberace, and Eli Wallach all earned the exact same paycheck for battling the dynamic duo. Oscar nominees, concert hall royalty, and big movie stars were financially equal the moment they stepped into Gotham. The consistency was on purpose. The producers wanted villains rotating constantly, not holding the show hostage over salary demands. If you wanted in, you accepted the rate, put on the costume, and committed to the role. You could conquer Gotham, but not the contract.
Number 12. The narrator was the producer the whole time. That voice on Batman, sounding like the world was ending every 30 seconds.
Has the diabolical Mr. Freeze outwitted the dynamic duo after all?
It wasn't some overpaid announcer overacting. It was the guy signing the checks. Executive producer William Dozier couldn't find a narrator who got the exact tone he wanted. He auditioned professional voice actors, big voices with serious credentials, and all of them were technically great. That was the problem. According to Dozier, they were too good. He famously said none of them could do it right because they couldn't handle being that bad. So he did it himself. Dozier got behind the microphone and delivered the narration in a breathless, over-the-top style that made every scene feel like a national emergency.
Is this the ghastly end of our dynamic duo? Answers tomorrow night, same time, same channel.
He even used a fake name, Desmond Doomsday, to keep it a secret. That name appeared on the Batman soundtrack album and in internal production notes, while Dozier pretended he had nothing to do with it. And Dozier didn't stop there.
He used the exact same narration style on the Green Hornet, which famously helped make Bruce Lee a household name in America. Same voice, same intensity, same breathless urgency. The man who couldn't find anyone willing to sound that ridiculous on purpose became the voice of Gotham itself.
Number 13. Robin made up the holy lines on the spot. Those famous holy whatever outbursts started in the writer's room. The format was simple. Something bad happens, Batman stays calm, and Robin freaks out with a holy insert ridiculous noun here.
Holy haberdashery! Holy ashtray! Holy flypaper! Holy popcorn!
But while the writers came up with the joke, Burt Ward ran with it. He was encouraged to make up his own versions on set, coming up with anything that sounded silly, clean, and memorable, as long as it fit a boy wonder trying to handle danger at full volume. That's how the show gave us gems like Holy Ravioli, Holy Hole in a Donut, and a parade of increasingly wild food, math, and vocabulary references. Some were scripted, but many were Ward improvising just moments before the cameras rolled. The mix kept the lines feeling fresh. Ward himself sometimes had no idea what holy was coming next until he said it. It became one of the show's most dependable running gags. Batman stayed calm, the villain schemed, and Robin turned every crisis into a verbal fireworks show, half scripted and half whatever popped into his head.
Number 14. NBC wanted to save Batman until someone bulldozed the Batcave. After ABC canceled the show in 1968, the series wasn't actually gone yet. Behind the scenes, there was real hope that another network might step in and rescue it. And for a brief, exciting moment, NBC seemed ready to play hero. Then the Batcave disappeared. After the cancellation, the producers did what studios often do when they think a show is finished for good. They waited a little. When no immediate pickup came, they made a harsh decision. The sets were demolished, bulldozed. The Batcave, Wayne Manor, everything was reduced to rubble. 2 weeks later, NBC officially showed interest. 2 weeks. NBC reportedly wanted to bring Batman back for a 4th season, but when executives learned the sets were gone, they did the math. Rebuilding the Batcave alone would cost hundreds of thousands of dollars, recreating Wayne Manor even more. Suddenly, saving Batman wasn't quirky nostalgia, it was a very expensive construction project. NBC passed. The rescue attempt failed not because audiences disappeared and not because the cast quit, but because someone moved too fast with a bulldozer. Both Adam West and Burt Ward later said they couldn't believe how quickly the studio had erased the show's physical world, effectively locking the door on any future. In the end, the Caped Crusader wasn't defeated by a supervillain. He was taken out by bad timing and a very motivated demolition crew. Number 15. The Batusi was never in the script. We saved this one for last because it perfectly shows everything weird and wonderful about this show. The Batusi, the dance move that inspired 1,000 parodies, was never written down. No writer suggested it. No choreographer planned it. Adam West made it up himself, reportedly about 10 minutes before they filmed the scene. According to West, he got the idea from magazine photos and things he had seen people do in clubs. While rehearsing, he began experimenting with exaggerated, off-balance movements, arms up, fingers framing his face like a masked go-go dancer who accidentally wandered into crime fighting. The producers could have stopped him, but they let him go for it. The name was a pun on the Watusi, a real 1960s dance craze, which made it even funnier. Audiences understood the joke right away. Here was the world's greatest detective, stone-faced and completely serious, doing dance moves like he had walked into the wrong party and refused to leave. Decades later, the Batusi still lives on. Pulp Fiction referenced it, The Simpsons parodied it, and it has become a symbol of a superhero doing something gloriously ridiculous. Adam West improvised a silly dance, and somehow it became immortal. That is the power of committing to the bit. And there you have it. 15 weird and wild facts about Batman 1966. Which fact surprised you the most? Drop it in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe and share this with a friend who loves the Caped Crusader.